Hello guys, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3. This video, you're gonna love it because we're gonna go deep dive here. We're gonna go crazy and I am going to show you how most likely Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 is going to be a third-person action adventure game and not your arena fighter game, same as Xenoverse 2. Now, I have several pieces of information for this. This one is a concept which I have made to kind of prove you how this would basically work, okay? But we have several quite indicative examples of proofs. Obviously, this is still speculation, but it is speculation grounded on the fact that the information I have given to us, it's pretty clear that it's going to be quite different from your traditional Xenoverse 2. So the evidence here is the official Project H1000. The second piece of evidence is the trailer. We're going to go over this Xenoverse 3 trailer. This is the actual gameplay tidbit of trailer. We're going to go over this in a second. And the third evidence is the actual Steam pages comparison between Xenoverse 3 and Xenoverse 2. But let's start off where it all began, which is the first ever teaser, Dragon Ball New Game Project H1000. Now, in this particular trailer, we see something quite new. The fact that the main character, or the character, you know, the CAC, whatever, the player character, shall we call him, he suddenly enables a simulation, and then in the simulation, the fight starts in a very interesting way. This is an action-adventure action kind of style combat. As you can see here, he is chaining different moves together. This is really important, as you can see here, and all of this is almost like there's lots of enemies. The movements are very fast. The movements are really fast. As you can see here, everything is moving very quickly, very swiftly, like you have enemies coming to you from left, right, and center. This reminds me of what? Of action-adventure games, and also games which have come out similarly, like for example, Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Ark Knights, Enfield, all of these action games which have like an open world area, open hub area with very flashy, super fast combat, and it's just nothing to do with the Xenoverse 2. It's completely different, right? Now that was the first hint. The first hint was in this one, where you can tell straight away that the game is quite different in its concept. The fact that this may actually be an action-adventure game with lots of stuff like transformations, and you can chain in different abilities, for example, right? Activate different abilities in different chains, mid-combo, do a Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, stuff like that, right? Now, the second one is the trailer, Xenoverse 3 trailer. In this one here, we see something, again, quite obvious. The first one is that traversal here in the game, as you can see here, is very different. So you kind of, go around the city. The city is quite massive. This is West City, by the way, in H1000. And the open world itself is going to mean that you're going to have to explore it quite a lot, and different locations of this particular world, or let's just say, I don't think it's going to be an open world game, but maybe like an open hub area game, right? So you're going to transition to different areas, and in these areas, potentially, fights are going to initiate in like bespoke arenas, but 3D arenas for yourself versus a lot of enemies. So we're talking about yourself, and you have to attack and go like to these potentially mini dungeons effectively, which activate, and then in this dungeon you will fight against a certain amount of enemies. I can tell here, for example, so this is the actual real-time rendering of the game. So as you can see here, you are actually going to join the fight. This could be like a dungeon as well. So this particular area here, as you can see here, it's almost like it's a dungeon within the city, right? Which activates, you're there, and then you have to go to these corridors and fight against enemies. It could be the case, right? Now, that's the second piece of evidence we can see here. Straight away from this particular gameplay, it just feels to me, honestly, that this is a playable area, and then you're going to be running around this area, fighting mobs and stuff like that, and it's going to be similar to, like I said, like these very popular games which have kind of made billions of dollars over the years, which is, for example, Genshin Impact, right? Now, the next one is the actual official Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 Steam page. Now, many people keep telling me that, well, this is just a placeholder, and, don't think too much about it. But even as a freaking placeholder, it is very different from the information you would see in Xenoverse 2. The most important ones are two of them. The first one is here. It says clearly in black and white, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 delivers an action-adventure experience. This is really important to understand, packed with intense battles and extensive character customization options. The second one is here. Fantasy violence is present through the game, with characters engaging in combat using energy-based attacks, close quarters combat, and weapons. Very interesting. Again, that means that this game you could have like some sort of weapons you can equip on your character. Maybe it could be pistols, swords, I don't know, stuff like that, which could, you could activate at certain combos to give you a boost against enemies. Players may also encounter mild profanity, revealing outfits, and crude humor during gameplay. Now also here, genre, action, adventure, RPG. This is very, very interesting how Bandai Namco categorized this game, action, adventure, RPG. Let's go to Xenoverse 2 and let's see how did they categorize this game. So it says action adventure, massively multiplayer, so quite a difference as you can see here. This is already a difference here. This one doesn't have massively multiplayer, which kind of tells me it's going to be constrained in terms of potentially interactivity with other people. And at the same time, in this one, it says here clearly, I mean, look at this. Experience packed with thrilling action, epic battles, and endless customization options. Create your character, from a series of teachers to be ready in battle against formidable enemies to rescue the flow of history. As you progress through the game, you can customize your character, abilities, and moveset, allowing you to create a true, unique, powerful character. You battle against other players from around the world in epic showdowns or participate in raid battles to face gigantic foes with other players. So the focus here is battles, right, and showdowns. So it's basically one-on-one, just you and your enemy or you and the boss effectively, and it focuses heavily on the PvP aspect of the game or the raid aspect of the game, but it's all about that fight in literally that arena, and that's it. That's literally it. So as you can see here, this is very, very different wording because the wording is completely different. Now since we have more here, with several online multiplayer modes and in-game events, battles never stop, face against other players from around the world in epic showdowns or team up with them against gigantic threats in raid battles. Again, this is very, very interesting one because it says here, whether it is during one-on-one fights or massively fights against multiple enemies, let yourself go in through a lot of fight. So it specifically says this is going to be a one-on-one fight mostly, right, with certain raids with multiple characters. So that's literally the main difference. Like the difference is quite obvious, the fact that this game focuses on that. Also in this one, it doesn't actually mention like swords, for example, or weapons whatsoever at all, right? Which is quite interesting, to be honest, right? Which is unique. But in this one, they even say it clearly, like in this game, you can basically expect to have combat and also weapons. So these three things combined together lead me to believe that most likely this game is going to be wildly different and is going to be more akin to this sort of experience, right? And not this sort of experience. So this experience you see here, whereas obviously you like fight one-on-one in a battle, right, against one enemy. I feel personally this might not be the case. Now, I may be 100% wrong on this one. This is of course speculation, so we are speculating here what's the actual possibility. But Bandai wants money. And let me just explain to you something really important. As a gaming company, Bandai, they look at the market, and the current market, people have spent a lot of money on these so-called action-adventure games such as Genshin Impact, right? In which you play in third person, you have lots of enemies, you do lots of combos in third person here. And this is what, people have been playing for many years. Another one is Wuthering Waves. So Wuthering Waves, to Don't know where I have it here. I think I lost it. But yeah, Honor of Kings is another one, which is going to release very soon. All these games play into the formula of the third-person action-adventure games where you go, you fight enemies, there's lots of quests and stuff, there's lots of mini-dungeons, and the reason why these games are popular is very, very simple. People spend a lot of time in these games because there's always something to do. Same as with the Genshin Impact and, you know, Wuthering Waves, Honor of Kings, Arc Knights, for example, right? All these games which came out or are coming out over the last 4 to 5 years, all of them have certain content which people keep coming back to. They grind, they just non-stop because there's so many things to do. And because there's so many things to do, people just can't stop playing it. That's the thing, right? So when you have a game where you are constantly playing the game because there's quests, there's missions, there's stories, after new stories there's more DLC stories, there's more unlocks, there's more abilities, all these things, what happens is that as a gamer you just cannot get enough from the game and you just keep coming back to it. You do more quests, you do more adventures, you increase your stats, you do more dungeons. Do you see that thing? When you have just fighting, so purely fighting, you go from one fight to another fight to another fight, what happens is that people get really fatigued. And that's true, people get fatigued when you just have a fighting game. Like I feel myself personally, like when I'm playing Sparking Zero, like if I play for more than 1 hour, I start feeling fatigued just because it's the same thing over and over again. And I kind of stop playing it, right? And I just go to something else. What these companies want to do with these games right now is try to put in many different types of stuff into the game so you feel like you're doing something different every 10 minutes. Because of that, you will not drop the game because every time you're doing something, you get that small dopamine hit and then you just say, okay, just a bit more, just one more quest, just one more boss, just maybe I'm gonna unlock a new ability, new weapons, new skills, I'm gonna level up, I'm gonna unlock new cosmetics, right? So all these things, new story, new quest, new lore, new cutscenes, right? And all these things, what they do is they just make people continue to play the game non-stop, 24/7. I mean, there's people who literally play every single day these sort of games, Genshin Impact, also Zenless Zone Zero as well, by the way. This game was really, really popular, right? In its day, right? Zenless Zone Zero, like the game was absolutely crushing it when it released because it has that third-person action combat vibes, right? And I honestly believe Xenoverse 3 is going to potentially be more akin to this and not to Xenoverse 2. Now, I'm not talking about gacha elements, I'm not talking about that, but you could potentially have your main character and you can be able to swap characters on the fly potentially in your like team, right? And then it's like a tag team ability sort of thing where you swap your characters and each of them has their own unique abilities and stuff like that. So that's a possibility, 100%. And again, it would play into the fact that when you do this, like people stay much more engaged with the gameplay, with the combat, and they're more likely to come back to the game the next day because there's something new to do. Now, that's it for this video, guys. As I say before, honestly, I'm not sure if this is going to be the case or not, but everything is pointing to the fact that Xenoverse 3 is going to be a very, very different game, and it's going to have this like open like hub area, like the city, same as in Zenless Zone Zero. And in the city you can explore it, walk around, go to shops, do things, right? And again, it's just so different because they want to make sure that the gamer stays engaged. They go to the city, they go to the shops, maybe speak to other players and stuff like that. So they constantly are running around the city, doing things, doing quests to basically spend time and eventually money on DLC. And that's the secret sauce. These companies, they want your time more than anything because more time means you are more likely to spend money on the game, as in either DLC, either microtransactions, either certain boosters, X, Y, Z. And because of that, they know this is now the formula to follow. Certain types of games like these ones have optimized this formula quite nicely. And I'm pretty sure Bandai Namco is not stupid. They're not idle. They want to capitalize on this. And they know that if they release a game like this, but in the vein of Xenoverse with Dragon Ball elements, of course, right? In the Dragon Ball universe, it's going to sell like hot pancakes. And this is exactly, I think, what they're trying to do here. So guys, that's it for today's video on this one. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Honestly, I believe that right now we are sitting at a 50-50% either way, and hopefully very soon, either in the Summer Game Fest or the Tokyo Game Show, they're gonna give us some sort of like actual gameplay where we can see the gameplay. And if it's going to be something like this, then honestly, I am not disappointed. Honestly, I believe that it's a move in the right direction, because just doing the same thing again, it's not the smartest choice, because, you know, people will kind of play it again and they're gonna get bored very quickly because it's the same game just with better graphics, right? You don't want that. You don't want to release a game where it's exactly the same content as Xenoverse 2, just with some, I guess, optimization of gameplay, better graphics, you know, more polished quests. Like, people want potentially something different. And you guys know, Bandai Namco, they want to make money. They look at the market and they say, what's the hottest trend right now? Well, the hottest trend in the anime genre are these games like Genshin Impact, Xenozone Zero, etc, etc. So guys, that's it for today's video. As always, I shall see you later in the next ones. Bye.